Welcome to Sibs Read Smut podcast. I'm Ned.
I'm Helen.
This is a podcast where we read, rate, and review and tell jokes about your favorite, but mainly our favorite, dirty romance novels. On today's podcast, we're going to be discussing Pucking Around by Emily Rath. Spoiler alert, we will be talking about these books in full. Beginnings, endings, twists are all part of the game. So if you haven't read the book, hit pause, go listen, we'll wait.
A long time for this one.
This was a long listen, and if you
Only
read
a while.
if you read the book or the hard copy, it was pretty girthy. So we'll give you a brief synopsis before diving in head first.
Gross.
Now that we're all ready to proceed, buckle up. This was a wild one.
All right.
Helen,
You want me to give a synopsis?
give a brief synopsis of what this.
You know how
thing's
good I
about.
am at giving brief synopses. I will do my best. This book is about a doctor named Rachel Price, and she becomes the team doctor for the Jacksonville Rays, a hockey team in Florida. And she's already met one of the guys, and she meets him again, but she doesn't realize she's going to. Instant chemistry. This is a Why Choose novel, so she then meets another guy that she starts to enjoy, and then later on they meet another guy that becomes a part of their quadruple. What is
Thruple.
that called? Well, thruple's three people.
Oh.
There are four people. So there's four people in this lovely romance, and it's about a hockey team. This is true hockey smut. The trope from the author is a Why Choose novel. So Rachel Price does not have to choose between these three men. At some point, she gets to have them all, which we will discuss in depth. And this is the story about how she moves to Florida to become the doctor for this team. She meets these three guys, how they become a couple, which I will talk about as well. And then they travel all over the country. They have a lot of side stories. There's a lot of background, and they all end up together. I will ruin the ending for you. They all get married and change the big grand gestures. They all change their last name to Price, and then they live happily ever after. So if you've ever wanted to have a relationship with three men, this is the book for you.
A reverse harem.
A reverse harem. Yes, exactly.
One of my notes on the summary page that we kind of put together beforehand was how will she ever choose while dealing with her new job, a new city, and three jacked up hunks of man meat?
Why choose?
Why choose? I mean,
Have it all.
it is
It's so professional to sleep with your patients, I think.
well, and I think we should specify too that the ebook or audiobook has the prequel, that one
novella.
night novella that starts off the audiobook. The physical book does not actually have that in there. Hold it up for the
I'm
crowd.
holding it up. Pucking Around by Emily Rath.
Hold it up a little higher because your name's in the way. Yeah, there it is.
Look at this. Look at this. This is a
girthy.
hand. This is a hand. And this is a phone. I mean, this is enormous. You could hurt someone.
Did you accidentally buy the large print for seniors?
No, shut up. Look, this is small print too. That would be funny. But I did not. This is small print, even for a regular book.
Yeah.
This is this book. I had to put on extra deodorant before this podcast because I am nervous. I don't know.
I have in my notes at one point I had to turn it off and go to bed for the night because I was so tired from all the sex they were having.
Ew.
I was tired from all the sex they were having. There are including the novella. I want to say that
God.
there are.
Did you do the math?
I think there are 23 chapters that have dirty times in them. At least. It was pretty crazy. But the audiobook starts off with that one night, which the physical book does not have. And that is the story of
Rachel Price.
of Rachel meeting Jake Compton, but they do not introduce themselves to each other. They just go
No names.
fuck all night. And
Yes.
three and a half chapters of straight bone zoning that take that, and they're destined to be together after about 2 hours together. They feel cosmically connected. She claims herself to be a zodiac girl. And
She's a zodiac girly.
I don't even know what that means.
That means she loves her zodiac signs and she lives her life based on them. And I will say, who else is a zodiac girly? Emily Rath. She put in this book their actual star signs. There's a list in the front of every character's star sign, so that if you are also a zodiac girly at home and you're following along, you can know their signs.
That's crazy. I mean, that's fucking insane.
Do you know your sign, Ned? What sign are you?
I'm May, so Taurus.
You're a Taurus. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are any of the guys a Taurus?
One of them is. I think Jay Compton is.
Taurus is an earth sign, focused, sensual, and steadfast.
That's me to a T.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, very focused. Your ADHD has nothing on you. Squirrel. Oh, that's funny. The zodiac signs, they run throughout the entire novel. I know you were going to talk more about that during the novella, but she never gives up on that. She talks about people's signs
Constantly,
start to finish.
And as I think in reference to last week's book or a previous podcast book, where we did When in Rome, there was we mentioned some polite eye fucking that went on. This was not polite eye fucking that went on in the bar. It was dirty, and let me tell you, the dirty talk throughout this novel is fucking insane. It is top notch dirty talk. I mean, to the point of like gross.
Ugh, it's uncomfortable. And there was a big difference between listening and reading it on the page. When you read it on the page, you can, I think, glaze over some things or just bypass when you're listening to it. And to your point in other podcasts, the people who speak, the actors who read the novel are so good that it's terrifying, and their performances make you really feel like you're there, which is actually kind of gross. The way that they would like laugh when the characters laugh, or like moan when the characters moaned, that was not what I wanted. It was so uncomfortable. And when I drive to work every day, and I listen to my books and to my stories. And then when I drive into the parking lot and I put down the window to like badge into my parking lot, the way that these stories just boom through the entire like 12 floor parking garage is mortifying. And I'm like, holy shit, I have to like turn it down. And if there's somebody like pulling in next to me at the next thing, I get so embarrassed, as I should be. I mean, I'm literally listening to porn. This was listening to porn.
Yeah.
Would you not agree?
I saw, oh, absolutely. I saw a TikTok video the other day, or, one of those Facebook videos or whatever, of a woman going, is my car really sound tight? And she turns on a dirty audiobook and gets out and shuts the door. And she's like, oh my God, everybody can hear what I'm listening to.
Yes, 100%. And I'm also embarrassed because we listen to books I listen anywhere from a 1.5 to like a 2.2, which then sounds like chipmunk are
level.
Fucking and are like boner. It's so
girthy erection.
It's just no bueno. So I'm often embarrassed driving in my car listening to things. And then now I have a kid, so I'm like, I just want to finish this book. I'll turn it on and I'm like, what is she, when she starts talking, she's going to be like, boner, condom. Okay.
Helen, did you have any lines that you loved from that initial novella?
No. I mean, it was, the novella was it's just so sexual, which is the point. And I know that, like, of course it was sexual. That's literally the point of this book. With the novella, I liked it better. None of the lines are really standing out to me except for like her pussy was ravenous and like weird shit like that. Or I'm like, oh my God, like give it some food. I don't know, Jesus.
He growled or something, and she goes, that sound went straight to my pussy. I was like, oh, okay.
I just like there's an overuse of the P word in this book, the entire book, in my opinion. And I liked the novella, and a lot of people I think really liked the novella. It was much more classic.
Lost love trope. It was
Yeah,
boy meets girl.
I mean, it's girl. She's getting hit on by some Chad, and then he comes and saves her. They
Cabela
do,
model. They're like Cabela model or Patagonia model.
yes. And then they were like, I bet his name is Chad. And then they're like, what's your name? He's like, Brad. But then they go upstairs and no names. They agree on that, no names, but they're instantly connected. They need to just be in each other. And then
No condos, no
no
condoms.
condos, plus a conversation about it, which
Yeah,
is very common,
they at
but
least
then never
discussed.
mentioned again at all in the book. And I like, which no, even with guy 2 and 3, there was no convo about it. I don't
No,
think.
there was with Caleb in the closet the first time they Eiffel Tower
Oh, that's
her
right.
in the nightclub.
Hmm.
They ask that they ask, "Are you clean?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then they just straight up bone zone some light BDSM in the janitor's closet of a nightclub.
And they discover
But
that he has like a ribbed. Anyway,
yeah,
anyway.
no, but
Oh, we're getting there. Not there
yeah,
yet.
we're getting there. No, but the novella, couple things stood out. He immediately starts calling her baby girl after knowing
Hmm.
her for 30 minutes, which yuck,
Yeah.
do not like.
No.
But that's personal preference. Some people with a daddy kink or whatever might love that, but
Okay. Sick.
ew.
Gross.
And then the other 3 lines that I love is she he says that she is more kinky than a garden hose, which is true,
Yeah,
and a
she's
very unique way of describing this sexually adventurous girl. And then Rachel says, "Wow, he's just driving 100 miles an hour to Pound Town," and I was,
she does. That's
yeah.
funny.
I mean, that had me laughing. And then she starts giggling at some point, like mid BJ or whatever, and she goes like his scent is pussy nip or
Ugh.
something.
Oh, they did say, was it pussy nip?
Yeah, well there
Or
was
I think she said like it's like catnip, or should I say pussy nip?
yeah.
And it was like
And then
that
and
was
then later on they call it back way down the line with dick nip too. Um but she goes he's my pussy nip. Am I falling in love? Like like, oh,
no,
okay. And
gross.
then yeah, then the condom talk, which never comes up again. And I mean basically chapters 4 through 8 are one enormous sex scene. Um,
Yes.
and it was I think 9 chapters long in total, and four of the 8 or 4 of the 9 were straight up sexual extravaganza. And she goes he slapped my clit and boom goes the
Oh,
dynamite.
gross. Okay, I didn't need you ever to say that out loud. That
But
Jesus Christ.
it's a hockey phrase, so I was like, oh, they're getting into the hockey terms super
Oh my
early.
God. Oh my God. I'm sweating. Oh, that's so gross.
Yeah, I mean, and it's stupid that they left, never introducing themselves to each other, or whatever else.
Yeah,
So fast forward to the main pucking around
the actual
novel
book.
in and of itself. She is listless after having lost out on her job, that her dream job that she wanted, which places her in a
With a professional
an
athletic
intern
team.
program with a professional team. And she goes out with her friend Tess. She's paralytically hungover and gets a call from her boss who goes, "Somebody had to drop out. You're going." So she's like, "Oh shit!" Packs all her stuff and leaves. And like, she shows up to the airport, and
This
this
is your
dude,
favorite.
this hunk of man meat, is there to pick her up.
She
And
lands in Florida,
lands
and
in Florida, and this dude's picking her up from the airport. And sh I was very confused because especially with the novella and the novel directly tied together in the audiobook, it goes
yeah.
straight one into the other. And she starts describing this guy named Caleb with very main character energy. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I thought Jake was supposed to be the guy. And he hasn't come up in multiple chapters now. And he's like,
Except as Mystery Boy. He's referred to as Mystery
he's
Boy.
referred to, but he's not a character that you've even
No,
seen again in
that
the
you haven't
first
met
five or
yet.
6 chapters of the book.
No.
Um, and I mean, she's meeting him and going like, oh, she's a hunk, and it's okay. So if she's never gonna see Jake again, all right, yeah, she's got to live her life, she's got to move on. but
He's very sex positive.
yeah, well, he is, yeah. But then the
So is
suitcase.
she.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I don't know what the fuck are you talking about.
She's sex positive. Like she
Yeah,
likes.
but she's actively pining for a dude, and like a
Yeah.
girl has needs. But yeah, like.
Okay.
But two things right away. Her suitcase explodes, and a
Yeah.
huge purple tentacle dildo flies out, and that
That was very
that was
funny.
very funny. And Caleb comes up with a nickname for her, calls her Hurricane because she swept in and just completely.
She brings chaotic energy
Yeah,
everywhere she goes, and that never goes away. She is a very chaotic
absolutely.
character.
With the exception of Poppy, she is the most chaotic character in this book, and I love Poppy.
You do.
She is actually the third book's main heroine.
Mhm.
But the the right off the bat, Caleb calls her Hurricane, which is so much better nickname than saying Baby or any of these
Mhm.
other weird daddy nicknames or whatever. Yuck! That was great. And then her talking to the dog in the dog baby talk was just ew. Another, oh God, like, are you kidding me? And I
Why
mean,
are you so against that?
I don't,
It's
I don't
better
know.
than her talking to the guys in a like baby voice.
I don't know. That's all.
You also don't have pets.
I do not.
Do you
Building
want
won't let
pets?
me.
No. Would you
Um,
if you could?
yeah,
What kind of dog would you get? Would you get a dog?
yeah.
Would you get a rabbit?
Ron
Cat?
Swanson. Anything under 60 pounds is a cat, and cats are useless. No, I mean, I'd like a medium to big sized dog, probably.
Okay.
But yeah, my apartment's way too small for that.
I mean,
Um,
I get that. But I feel like then you would start baby talking your dog and you would be less judgy of other people doing it.
no.
Okay.
Um,
Moving on.
but there's lots of world building going on.
Mhm.
She one thing Emily Rath does very well is set a scene. I felt like this book was very scene oriented more than it was like telling a straight through line, because there's so many different stories that she could have delved in deeper to that
Mhm.
really just got a chapter. You know,
Yeah.
like the new doctor that she's working with or for on this new Jacksonville Rays team, this Dr. Avery guy is a
Oh, the
real
jerk.
sexist dickhead, and
Mhm.
he gets maybe three little sayings about him before he becomes a pivotal part of the story where well actually I have a note that says that he plays no role in the story whatsoever. Like
Yeah.
he catches Mars and Rachel in the hallway making out, but the guys had already reported themselves to the coach, and like everybody already knew and was finding out. So him finding out, other than him being shitty to her, was really has
Mhm.
no bearing on the plot outline of the story, other than him being fired and her potentially going to be able to take his job. Like, he's just a dickhead for dickhead reasons, and they don't really delve into that storyline that much.
Yeah, I think she gets a few really like he says it to her at one point like who did you blow to get this job, or I don't care who you slept with to be here. So and part of her issues, part of her backstory is that her dad is the lead singer of the Ferrymen, which I assume in my mind is like the Rolling Stones or something real like a really famous band.
Yeah.
And so she is a nepo kid. Like she has a really famous dad, and her biggest fear is that people are going to assume that she's not good at her job. She just gets everything because of her dad and not of her own merit. So he feel that Coach Avery was I felt
Dr.
like
Avery, he's not a coach.
Dr. Avery was that there to put that on highlight that of saying like
She didn't
she's
deserve to be there.
yes, and he kept pointing that out and making her feel less than which he was a terrible like sexist misogynist, did not like him at all, but also she was sleeping with three of her patients.
Well,
Like
two patients. Caleb's
Oh,
not a hockey player.
Caleb's a colleague. Yes.
He's the equipment manager, assistant equipment manager or something.
I have a hard time I think that's a lot.
Oh, I mean,
I don't know the ethics of that.
I
I mean, I
have.
know them. I don't love it.
I mean, I had a note towards the end of this that like when she's spiraling out and gets or no before she starts spiraling, in intentionally, she she finally gets her comeuppance. The coach of the team pulls her aside and goes, regardless of whether you're happy or not, and I'm glad you're happy with three dudes, but like you've been sleeping with two of your patients. You haven't reported any of his medical findings to the team. You've been taking care of him outside the bounds of what the team rules are. Like, no, you're suspended. Like, you're gone. And she tells the guys like, I need to take my medicine. It's like, yeah, like what were the guys gonna do? Not fight, like not like be like she didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, she did.
She did. Yeah, and I just and you said something earlier this week when we agreed to reread this book that she also wears very sexy dresses to all of their like work events. Anytime they go to a fundraiser or whatever, she wears like backless, really slinky things. And then they have a beach day, and she shows up in this like teeny weeny bikini, and I'm just like, again, these are your colleagues. This is your workplace. You are their physician. I'm not saying like you have to wear like a business suit to the beach.
A fucking burqa.
Yeah, but like I don't know if you need to wear a really skimpy blue bikini and make all these guys sweat. And she knows that they call her hot doctor,
Yeah.
and she like leans into it and is really, I think she really enjoys that, to be honest. And she says at one point, like, stop calling me that. It just is like, don't call me that.
I do love the player like group chat. All the
Locker
players
room
are
talk. You
like,
would.
no, not the locker room talk, but they're all playing pranks on each other. They're
Yes,
fucking
they have a
around.
fun rapport.
There's a fun dynamic between all the players, and she really kind of writes. Because the next two books also deal with hockey players on the same team, and it's it's fun that they all have this kind of rapport, with the exception of the goalie Ilmari Mars, who is the third man on this I don't know, milking stool of
Oh my God, you can't say that. That's disgusting.
but
No.
he's described as, it's like the meme with the kitten and the gorilla, and he's the gorilla, and he's like
I thought
the
he was like a
toughest.
blonde Viking.
Yeah, the toughest guy on a hockey team had sex with a Viking, and he's their super baby.
Yes, that.
But he's a standoffish guy. He's not partaking in any of the reindeer games, and he's barely laughing at some of these pranks that they pull, which is the two ones that I loved was they sent one of the like newer guys, the team, into the locker room for his physical and told him that he like had to get naked and take his pants off. And she walks in and he's just drop trow in the middle of the room. And Rachel's like, ah, and all the,
I
and
look
she,
at your knees.
yeah, I'm a knee doctor. And he goes running out, or she goes running out, and all the guys are laughing. And then they fill her entire car up with
Little balls.
from the ball pits at like McDonald's or whatever back in the day.
And then she opens the door. They go everywhere, and then they make the new guy. They make the rookies
the rookies
clean
clean
it
it all up.
They're like running all over the park. I love that visual of the rookies like chasing these balls down as they're like going down the parking lot.
And Jake, to his credit too, also, they re-meet in the parking garage and have a very steamy kiss about like chapter 12, after she's been like ogling Caleb, and then she's like, oh shit, Caleb and Jake are best friends and have been for a long time. And then
mystery guy. She figures out.
Yeah. And then she sucks his face off against the car and then goes, you got to get away from me. Like, I'm not giving up my job, my opportunity, and whatever else. and then he starts calling her Seattle, which is so much better than baby girl and whatever else. I'm like, oh my god.
Yes.
It's crazy how much I was like, just keep calling her that. Like, and what
Yeah.
it's to the point where everybody has their own nicknames for her. That when they actually call her real name, she's like offended. She's like, oh my god, like don't call me Rachel.
I didn't get that vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime they refer to her as her real name, she's like, "What's wrong? Like, what's going on?"
Oh, well, yeah. Okay.
And yeah, and I mean, we're like barely 20% into the book, but like, there's a very brief fingering session on the phone.
Okay.
And Caleb is super needy with Jake at the beginning. I felt like, and then after they kind of all started banging each other, like Jake became super needy, and Caleb was the aloof one. Like
They're all needy in their own ways. She was super needy. The only one that really wasn't was Ilmari, the goalie, and he doesn't even like really enter the entire story, and he's there at the beginning, but like his plot line really doesn't start until at least 45% through.
Yeah,
and
almost
then,
halfway through.
yeah. But so Jake is guy number one. He's from the novella. They meet in Seattle, and he has played hockey he's like a star. They describe him as a golden retriever. I don't know if we've already said that today,
No,
but
I don't think.
he has this like energy where he just is like young and really eager and wants to be with Rachel. And then Caleb is described. So then Caleb is the equipment manager. He was a hockey player.
And got hurt 7 minutes into his first game ever, and was
For
best
the
friends
Pittsburgh
with Jake.
Penguins.
For the Pittsburgh Penguins, our home team.
Our home team. And so he got drafted higher than Jake. He was actually better, if drafting higher means you're better. But then he got hurt 7 minutes in, and so he like went into this really big funk and depression. He's described as like a surfing vampire. Do you remember that description at all?
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
They said he was like super emo at one point, so I just imagine the like bang, like the dark bangs swooping over his
That is not
forehead.
how I pictured him at all.
How did you picture him?
I felt like more his aura was dark and broody, but not his look.
I don't know. Somebody said that he was like a vampire that surfed. They talk about, I mean, he surfs, and so he lives on the yada yada. But I just had this vampire in my head he has like the dark hair and super pale. That's what he looks like.
With 4 piercings in his dick.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Jesus Christ, it's true. Ugh, gross. Okay, so
and Jake, his best friend, is super surprised by this too. I mean,
no
I guess,
idea.
I guess most best friends don't go around looking at each other's dicks, but
I mean, how many piercings does drunk Dave have?
At least 3.
Sorry for bringing you up, Dave. So Caleb and Jake are best friends from from high school or whatever, college. Oops, sorry, shit. So Jake and
blooper,
just punching the fucking thing. What is this microphone? So Jake, this microphone. Jake, shut up. Okay, so Jake and Caleb are best friends from a while back. So when Rachel enters the picture, drama ensues.
You think they're going to fight over her.
You think they're going to fight over her, which they would in maybe a different book. But this is a self-proclaimed by the author.
Let's fuck her in a closet.
No, this is a why choose romance. The author calls it a why choose trope. So Rachel doesn't have to choose. She can get Eiffel Towered, to your point, in the closet.
By his pierced wonder cock. Direct quote.
Really? That's gross.
And Rachel goes, Jake's hand went to his mouth like a Southern Baptist church lady. Oh my my God. I mean,
That scene.
folks, right now, there's no way we can go through all of these sex scenes. I mean, there are
No.
just way too many, and
This was a pivotal one,
it's a
though.
little too gross to talk about with your sister or brother. But yeah, this is a pivotal one where the both guys just look at each other and they're like, "You into it? You into it?" And just
Why
with
not?
dead straight eye contact, and then they're like, "All right, let's Twinkie this girl." It was it was
It was
wow.
graphic.
This whole
Um,
book is graphic.
the whole book is very X-rated. Um, yeah, but I think that scene was required to move forward the story of these three, because then I think they both agree to date Rachel, but separately. They're not dating each other yet,
No, but
right?
well they well right after this they kind of get into a what the hell just happened kind of talk,
Mm-hmm.
and she tells them who she is, that she's this super
Oh
famous
yeah.
like heiress to the band, and then literally over pancakes 20 minutes later, like they just decide to move into with each other. All three of them just
Yes.
move into each other. So yes,
Moving
they're
to each other,
yeah, they're not
literally.
they're not they're not they have not said anything about dating separately or together or whatever else. They're spending the night together. You know, she spends some nights in his room. She spends some nights
Hmm.
with Jake. They haven't really reconnected on the let's all do a three-way kind of thing yet. But
Well, and it's if they have not yet agreed to be in like a polyamorous relationship.
yeah,
And so at this point, like Rachel is dating Caleb and Rachel is dating Jake separately. And then they, as best friends, have a competition about it. But then that ends up blowing up in their faces because that doesn't go
well, it
well.
blows up in Jake's face.
Yes. Because he wanted the competition. Caleb did not.
Yeah,
Caleb also, there were hints, I think, early on that Caleb liked Jake as more than a friend. There was some insinuation that he'd had like male partners in the past.
no,
And
not insinuations. There was direct like he's like
they say it.
I don't mind sucking dick in a bathroom every now and again. You know,
Okay.
it's like I mean like straight.
You could be more sensitive about
No,
it.
that's literally the line from the book. That's not me just saying it. It's like he's like, yeah, I don't mind sucking the occasional cock, but you know, I've never dated a guy. And like direct quote from Caleb.
Yeah.
But so okay, so literally right after the three platonic fuck buddies and a dog move in together, she's huffing this Ilmari dude, the
Yeah.
goalie, on the literally moments after having a very public three way, she is like, and well, I guess not committing, but like still
Yeah.
like dating two other guys, is now huffing a third dude, like
When you say huffing, do you mean when they made out in the hallway?
no, she's like sniffing him. They're like
Wait,
super close one time,
what
and
did I
like
miss?
no, it's like they're talking on the bench or something like that, and she's like, he smells woodsy, and you know all this other kind of stuff, and it's like, I mean, they don't even come close to kissing for another like 5 or 10 chapters. It's like,
Yeah.
she's just like, oh, I just made out with these two dudes, but like, oh, maybe I'm interested in this guy too. It's like, what are you talking about? Um, I mean, I don't
She
want to yuck anybody's yum, but this was a little much for me.
Well, I think, and I do want to say, as a social worker, I, the author Emily Rath describes herself in her bio as sex positive, queer positive, all of the above. Very, and what I love about this book is I actually do think that she paints polyamory in a really good way. I think polyamory as a relationship style is real. It is not represented a lot in culture. I think it's still very on the sideline. So some of the mainstays of polyamory as a relationship style are open communication, having to work through things, boundaries. You just have to be really honest to make it work, to make a relationship work between that many humans. And I think she represents that really well in
Yeah,
this book in terms of there are it's of course it's a romance novel. They're gonna have like these little conversations where there's misunderstandings, then they have to come back together and then they fuck and then they, it's like that's how the stories move forward. But she does a really good job. If this was like a closed door book about a polyamorous relationship between these four people and they made all these choices to be together and
it
to
would be 45
create
pages long.
It would be 45 pages long, but I think it would be really well done. And again, representation. I love that. I think it's so important to have for everybody to be able to see themselves and their lifestyle choices represented. And so I think that's fantastic. The amount of boning and semen and just the like graphic nature of this novel. I don't know if I needed to be there for that. All of it, for all of it. I think there was just a little bit too, regardless of the relationship status, it was just a lot of dick.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just reading some of my chapter heading notes here. Uh oh yeah, at chapter 41, kitchen anger bang with Caleb and
Oh,
Rachel, where he has this daddy dom kink, ew, and
mhm.
it gets a little rough, and then she literally
Oh,
comes. Then they're literally moving into Jake's place,
yes.
and they get in the shower, and he's like, "What did he do to you? Like, I'm gonna kill him."
Oh,
And
yeah.
then she's, to quote Rachel, died and gone to pussy heaven. Um,
Ew. Gross.
and then literally this is right about the time that Jake becomes like the whiner of the two and
Yeah.
starts going, "Well, why don't you want to hang out with me? What's going on?" Like it's
Hmm.
almost he's become this comical representation of what he was in this novella, where he was this
Hmm.
kind of suave, down to earth guy who's,
But sweet. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
sweet, but swung this girl off her feet, just being a naturally like kind of charismatic dude, and then he just totally becomes this weird,
needy.
whiny, needy, comical caricature of this like cool dude. Even at the beginning of the book, he was
Hmm.
like cool, and then I don't know, maybe he got into some kind of relationship, like like I don't know, mental limbo where he now is like, but I want to pick the ice cream, but I want to do the, and it's like, ugh, okay, um, and then yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's the, oh, and well, the other thing too was I thought I missed a chapter in the audiobook because the the book of novellas that come in between books, one between Pucking Around and the next book in the series, I Pucking Sweet, I think it's called. Um,
Yes.
she has the chapters of the karaoke behind closed doors
Mm.
bang, which is the only I there's like kind of two behind closed doors sex scenes in this, which is the karaoke where Jake is getting super jealous because Caleb is teaching him a lesson to not play games
Hmm.
about trying to have sex acts for points, and
Szechuan.
yeah, and he sings a song, and Rachel's pussy is on fire with
Ugh,
Caleb singing,
ugh, ugh,
and then yeah, and then they go to a gala event where she's already ogling over Ilmari Mars, the
hmm.
goalie, going, he's hot enough to pour on pancakes, and then she immediately goes around and finds Jake, and they fuck in a stairwell, and
Yes.
that's behind closed doors too. But both of those scenes are fully written out in the
Oh,
1.5 novella. So
1.5.
I thought I was missing chapters when I was
Mm.
listening to the book because I'm like, I remember those scenes from the
Other book.
from the yeah
This,
from the
yeah,
other book of
novella.
novellas. um and just by the way, at the gala, uh, Mars donates like $500,000 to a sea turtle charity, and
Yeah.
which is, I also think, another super sweet kind of point. That this whole book, like I was saying earlier, is so episodic though, where
Hmm.
you have the gala, you have the karaoke, you have the game one, you have all these little vignettes,
Hmm.
and each in each one of those you could follow that storyline down a path, and she doesn't really. Yeah, there's a
Well,
throwaway line at the end about the sea turtles where he gave $500,000 to like three people who like clean up the beach a little bit, and his donation allowed them to actually set up a real charity or whatever. But like, that's a fun
but that
storyline.
money, the money was, they did cover that story. So that storyline specifically. So Ilmari has his whole backstory. This is the third guy, the goalie, the Viking hockey goalie. He has a hip issue. And so Rachel, inappropriate, like without telling anybody, takes him on the side to like a hip specialist where she previously worked in Cincinnati, Ohio. And that ended up being Ilmari's bio dad. That was this
Yeah.
doctor. And so he shows up there and he's like, "How dare you bring me to see my father?" They obviously have a terrible relationship. So he they go to dinner so he ends up being like, "Okay, I'll get my hip looked at, yada yada." They go to dinner that night, and that $500,000 that Ilmari donated was the money that his dad sent him. He was like, so his donation was money that the dad sent him to say like, "I'm sorry, I want to have a relationship," which I would love to. I'm like, okay, that'd be great. I'd always have a relationship for 500K. But he said, "I don't want it, I don't need it," and that's why he donated the money, was because of that relationship. I did read.
Yeah, but I'm saying that and I think in book two they bring it up a little bit more, or one of the later books they bring it up a little
Poppy. She like takes over the turtle thing. Isn't that her job at the end of it?
at the end of book
Doesn't
three.
At the end of book 3, doesn't he offer Poppy the job to run this turtle conservancy or whatever?
That sounds familiar, but I honestly can't remember. They read way too many of these. Well, and then Mars and Rachel's first kiss,
After she
happens.
benches him.
Yeah, she benches him, and in like a fit of anger, he just grabs her and kisses her, which like not consenty. And then she's like, but she's into
No.
it, so I guess it's okay. Um,
Can we back up? I need
okay.
to talk about when Rachel, so before she kisses Omari, I just don't want to let this pass because this was an important point for me. I thought a lot about the symbolism of this. Close your ears, Ned. Honestly, I really just want the listeners to hear this thought. So, thank you. Ned has his earmuffs on. So there was a scene where Jake and Caleb are both getting blowjobs from Rachel, and then Rachel ends up teaching Jake how to give Caleb a blowjob, or vice. No, yeah, Caleb has been with men before, so Rachel is teaching Jake how to. Anyway, this is the first instance that I remember of semen swapping. So Caleb comes in Rachel's mouth, and then Rachel sucks off
No, it's the other way
Jake.
around. Caleb blows in Jake's mouth, who then spits it into Rachel's, who then sucks him off, who then spits it in both their mouths, I guess.
Yes. And all I could think of was that like scene from Stand By Me, the movie where they like cut each other. They're like blood brothers and they're like, "Oh, we're going to cut our palms and smush it together." And the symbolism. And I mean, like Emily Rath writes it this way of like, it made all three of us become one, of like, we all like shared this
Well,
semen
and,
and
and you
now
just
we're
and you just said you're
one
going. You just
couple.
said you're going back, but that's going forward. That hasn't even happened yet in the story.
No, this was
No.
before Ilmari's
Uh-uh.
whole thing.
Nope. Because they're arguing about
Oh,
Ilmari in the kitchen scene. She
gross.
kisses Omari, then they go and they lose on the road, and then they have
Mm.
the purple dildo scene,
Yeah.
to cheer Jake up after a loss.
Call back.
Yeah, call back. And then and I should mention too that like right after that scene, I'm like, Emily Rath should write action novels because
She should.
her scene choreography is so good and so detailed in these sex scenes. Like I think she'd write a dope action movie. But
She has.
wow, yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
and so so the semen swapping hasn't even come up yet, but like
Oh. Okay.
the Tess, after all this, her best friend Tess, Rachel, is explaining to her like, I'm in a pickle, like, I'm dating two guys, and she's like, yeah, well, they're just trying to get that top shelf kitty cat. And I'm
Oh my
like,
God.
and then she's like, that prime pussy palace. And
Oh Jesus. Ugh.
and then yeah, the human Twinkie comes up again there too.
Oh.
But
Okay.
then they get in the argument over like, what are you doing with Mars? Like, like
Mm-hmm.
you've been, Caleb's like, you've been circling each other for weeks, and she's like, well, I don't know. Like, love is love. I have love to give. And she's like,
My love's not finite.
yeah, and she's trying to like push Jake and Caleb together. I feel like, so that she can get Mars
Yes.
come in. So that she's like, you have your person, I want my person too. Even though she's been
Mm-hmm.
explaining that Jake is her soulmate this entire time. Like okay, and then they have the kitchen hate fuckery with all the swapping and the daddy talk and
All of them, right? All four.
no, that's still just Jake and
This is
Caleb
just the
and
three.
Rachel.
Okay.
Because Mars and Rachel don't sleep together until they go to
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati for his treatment,
Yeah.
which is literally like the next day. Like that literally
Mm-hmm.
happens. Like they spit in each other's mouths, and then she gets on a plane
Oh,
and goes to Ilmari. Oh, by the
oh,
way, I really like you. They're holding hands on the plane. She's like, but I'm dating Jake and I'm dating
FYI.
Caleb, and we might all be dating each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like,
Um,
and then he's like, maybe. Uh, and then he's like bend over, whatever Finnish word he uses, and he's like crazy breeding kink. Learn that term in this novel.
yeah.
Um, there's some real like butt stuff going on, and then there's like just tons of
Ew.
filling. She's just so full.
Oh, oh,
She,
okay. That's enough. 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 I can't. I that. Oh, God. No. No.
oh man. Oh
I'm
shit.
tapping out. I'm tapping out. This. Why did we choose this book? Who chose this book in the beginning? Because this was like a book talk. So like this was like a sensation on TikTok, and you don't use TikTok. Did I
No,
pick this book or did you?
I don't remember. I mean, because it was years ago. I mean, we read this first one at least 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to say it had hockey in it,
Might,
so I'm like, it could
might
have.
have been me though.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember back that far. There's been so many other books, but
This is
yeah, there's. I just love after this whole you know Mars destroying her with his monster cock. Um, once they get back to the house, she's like, "You got to meet the boys." He's
yeah.
like, "Before I can devote myself to you, whatever Finnish word he uses, I need to see you guys
Ruska?
interact with each other." And he walks in, and Caleb and Jake are just on the couch, like they've been cuddling and massaging each other in a hetero way. And the and Jake's like, "Oh yeah, maybe we should just all start fucking." And like he just starts like spouting off a whole bunch of stuff, and Mars is like, "This is joke, yes," like, and Rachel's like, "Oh my god," because they're egging him on about this whole thing, like she's ours, and then like Caleb goes, "Nope." He knows
Yeah.
that you have to share. So like he just starts banging her in the kitchen right in front of Mars, and then Mars sees his pierced dick. It's like, "Can I touch it?" And then Jake flips out and
Oh.
and comes running in, and then it's on. Then it's just the gang. I throughout all the rest of my notes, I just go the whole gang. Um, it's yeah, but also along with that, like you learn, like you were saying about the backstory of a lot of these. There's lots of loss going on in this book. Caleb
Tell
loses
me
his
more.
career. Caleb loses his
Yeah.
career. Rachel loses her youth to really the paparazzi and the fame and the kind of crazy girl that she was,
That's a
and
stretch,
and
but
and, and
okay.
her parents' divorce. She, they say like really like screwed her up a little bit. And then
Okay.
Mars has abandonment issues because his dad like divorced his mom and left,
Yeah.
and he didn't want a relationship with him anymore, even though the dad, tried in his own
Hmm.
way to like get back in his good graces. But there, and then Jake is just like they said, a golden retriever who just kind of
Yeah.
bounces around. He's very insecure about people leaving him, but like his only loss is that his sister moved to Japan,
To Japan.
but
Yeah.
they're twins, and that's the other thing that we haven't talked about yet is the fact that Jake has a fraternal twin sister, and Rachel has a fraternal twin brother, so they bond over that even more in
Yeah.
in the novella. Like,
I was gonna say it comes up in the novella, and then it really doesn't come up in the book until the end with the wedding and all that stuff. But
Oh no, I mean even prior to that, I mean, she's calling him on the phone. He's trying to get a hold of her. She's ducking his
Yeah.
calls. There's a little bit more than that. Um, and well, and Tess is trying to be the voice of reason throughout all of this, going,
Hmm.
"Hey, every time you get cornered, you just jump and run. You always run away. You just shut down and run and whatever else." And she's like, pretty, you know, maybe three-quarters of the way through, is like, this is not going to end well if you don't like
Hmm.
figure your shit out. And lo and behold, fast forward, she freaking wigs out completely. It's totally spinning and gonna run away. And the guys are like, "Oh, we love you. We can handle this." Like every single one of them is okay with coming out, and she's the one that's like, "You don't understand. You
Yeah.
don't get it." And it's like, this is a problem of your own making, lady, and now you don't want to face the consequences. She's the one that
Hmm.
wants to keep them all behind closed doors. Jake is the one who, at the beginning was like, "No, we need to go to HR. We need to go
Yeah.
tell them that you and I are together and let them know that this is happening." And they do, and it's on file. And the team was okay with that. She got in trouble because she was banging Mars and the equipment manager as well. It's like, all right. And the whole time she's like encouraging Jake and Caleb to like get together on their own too. I'm like, yeah. It always felt kind of, I don't know if it was duplicitous, or like so that she could add
I
Mars to the mix, or
I
I
think
don't
it
know.
was, but also I feel like she could tell that Caleb had feelings for Jake, and that's kind of why she was put like Jake was just the golden retriever who had like never even occurred to him to that his best friend could have feelings for him and to even explore that. So where Caleb, you could tell, had feelings for Jake for a long time.
Yeah,
And so I think it was a little bit as much as she saw that and wanted that for them as much as it was to have bring in her fourth
yeah. Well, and
or
oh, and,
third.
and and then they do the jersey swapping, and
Yeah.
that leads to like the first full gang play of like
Yeah.
them like going to town on each other. It was crazy. I mean, I have some I have some crazy lines that I wrote down for this
I
section.
don't know if I want you to say them. You know what? Go ahead and read them. I'm just going to take my headphones out. Go ahead and read.
All right. The more dripping and smearing than a New York bagel shop. These guys produce more glaze than an all night Krispy Kreme. Uh, and some of these positions sound like a weird sex toboggan.
Okay. I'm back. I did not need to hear that.
You'll hear it when we review the episode.
Ugh, I will vomit then. Ugh.
And,
Jeez.
and and then after this monster bone party, they make the monster bed on the floor that they can all sleep in.
Yes.
I was like, oh, sleepover, let's make a pillow for it. And then Jake immediately was like, let's come out to the world, like let's tell everybody.
Hmm.
And and then like after the jersey swap, the secret comes out. Like now people are like, oh, you guys are lovingly looking at each other. Are you spurning Jake for Caleb? Are you spurning Caleb for Jake? Amari's not even in the mix yet, and
Yeah.
she's telling him, you need to go. Like, you need to get away
Hmm.
from this. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? Like, we're in love. I'm not going anywhere. Like, fuck off. And then the team guys are coming up to Caleb in the locker room, going, hey, if like you and Jake are fucking on
Together.
the down low, it's
Oh,
okay,
like
right? You
together.
know,
Just.
you know, but the whole like locker room's like team ally.
Yeah.
And Mars, the few
As
guys
they
that
should be.
do chirp about it, Mars shuts it down real quick too.
Yeah.
And Avery still a dick. I mean, Dr. Avery
Always.
is still just a straight butthole. And I don't know, somewhere in there, I just wrote down pussy posse.
Okay.
I don't know where that came from. Uh,
Uh,
that's a
great
line
note.
in there from somewhere. I just wrote pussy posse, ha ha. And I mean, and then Rachel's spinning out, and that's the thing is like she starts spinning out while all the guys are just handling it. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're fine. And I think she has so much PTSD from like dealing with the media from her past that she's like just totally. She's been making decisions for all of them pretty much this whole time,
Mm-hmm.
and when the rubber meets the road, she wants everyone to just run. And I'm like, okay, like you're the one that put this whole, whatever, what do they call it, pyramid on sand,
Mm-hmm.
together. Like, take some ownership or fuck off.
Yeah.
But and that's when Jake goes. Mars makes speeches that should come with at-home pregnancy tests because he just drops some serious knowledge like 4 times throughout this book, and it's the most words he's ever put together like ever, and it's always like love is love, and you must be a tree in the forest, and like all this like crazy Finnish wisdom bullshit. It's great. And then like a truly very emotional scene was Caleb and Jake after the fight on the ice, where he like is fucking up the dude that broke
That hurt
Caleb's
Caleb.
leg back in the day, and he gets ejected from the game, and they're screaming at each other, and Rachel's there crying because they're finally about to announce their love for each other right before giving him a hand jibber on the medroom table, like but it was a very emotional scene right up
Yeah.
until he stuck his hand in his pants. Um, you know,
As most scenes in this book end
as
with.
most
Yes.
scenes in this book end, yeah,
Yes.
it was like it should have been me. You were the better player. Like I should have been the one. I mean, like straight up, very emotional. It was
Yeah.
very, very, very heartfelt. And most
very
of
sweet.
these lines come mid orgy of some kind. So it's like you gotta take it with a grain of salt. But this is like after some seriously brutal on ice like ass kickery. And then they like semi get caught with one of the other coaches that comes in, and then they just go, you know what, we're coming out, and go to the coaches and go, we're in love, whatever, which is okay. You've decided this for all of like, I mean, they've technically been fucking each other for a couple weeks or months or whatever, but they in the span of like 5 minutes decide, let's go tell the world, which great because Jake's been wanting to get this out in the open the whole time.
Yeah.
But
Do you think that Emily Rath is like a big hockey fan and wanted to write a hockey book and then put some sex in it? Or do you feel like she wanted to write a sex book and she made it a hockey themed sex book?
That'd be a very interesting question to ask her. I want to say that the sex came first and the rapper came second.
Because hockey smut is like a whole genre within
Oh, yeah.
romance in and of itself. We've read a few other ones.
I've read
I was
a
trying
lot
to.
of other ones, yeah.
Okay, well, we've read.
a lot.
You have. I think the Graham Effect is a hockey smut. There was
Yeah.
that like
Elle
figure
Kennedy.
skater. There was the figure skater hockey player, Icebreaker
Yep.
was Hannah Grace.
Elle Kennedy has a couple different ones, I want to say.
Say Elle
And there's
Kennedy.
there's a Chicago version of that.
Oh, the
There's
Mile High series.
the
I
Mile
hope
High
I
series.
loved those.
And then
That was one of my favorite hockey smuts ever.
Yeah,
Liz Tumford.
and then Tessa Bailey has the
Does she?
the sequel to the golf one is a hockey one.
Oh, I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, this the Au Pair Affair is
Oh, I did read
another
that.
one. Yeah, the third one's now coming out in that series. We have it on hold
Okay.
at the library.
Got it.
But yeah, and the another like side story that gets dealt with in like less than 2 chapters is this whole time Mars is trying to make the Finnish Olympic team, and
Yes.
like they come see him play a game and he knocks it out of the park and he's very good, and then they come see the game where Jake literally pounds a guy's face into mush and gets ejected, and then the Finnish guys are like, hey, we want you. And he's like, hey, by the way, I'm fucking a girl who is also fucking two other dudes. And he's like, the Finnish believe in privacy. They are fine with it. And then they all come out. They all come out to the coach as like, yeah, we're all together. And Poppy blows her mind in the room. The coach goes, I'm too old for this shit, like, which I just loved. And the assistant
Yeah.
coach, like, trying to hang, is like, is this like a swingers thing, you know? Like,
No.
and then finally the coaches find out that Avery, none of the players like Avery, none of the staff like Avery. Avery's just a sexist piece of shit,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, and that's when Rachel gets her comeuppance of like, yeah,
Mhm.
love your love, but you're suspended because you've been banging your patients. Um, and you know, and she tries to like run away. That's when she tries to like run away completely. And she's
Mhm.
been playing fast and loose with the
So fast.
rules, and you know, she's like her, and she wants people to run away because she's like, I'm hurting you and blah 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 and all this other kind of stuff. Meanwhile, the physical act of her running away is what's actually hurting these guys.
Yeah.
And they take us and you know, another brand of this communication, that you know that all these polyamorous, you know, couples need to have if they wanted to have a lick of sense of working out is, you know, the guys go, she's mid spin out, she's mid freak out, and Caleb goes, you know, we're not going to try and convince you to stay.
Mhm.
you, we know our self-worth, so if you're not going to stay for us, then we're not going to convince you to stay for us.
Yeah.
So, and they all leave and go down, and Jake's like, if this doesn't work, I'm going to kill you. And then of course she figures her whole shit out and comes
Yeah.
down, and then they have fucking insane, and then they go, let's get married, and just decide to get
Mhm.
married, and they have
Yeah.
like an epic, like 50-page long orgy, to celebrate their proposals. Vibrating butt plugs.
Okay.
She goes, death by too much dick, and I'm gonna die over and over. Uh, Jake is like, is there such a thing as sex sickness?
Yes, and we have it after reading this book.
Oh my god. Well, and then I think my favorite line in the entire book,
Oh,
is, she starts talking about a guy that she was seeing when she was younger, and Jake goes, no, 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 frisbee golf rules, and everyone's like, frisbee golf rules, like, what are you talking about? He goes, do I know frisbee golf is a thing? Yes. Do I want to learn a single other thing about it? No.
no.
He's like, do I know you had this past? Yes. Do I want to know a single other thing about it? No. And I was like, I love that line. Frisbee golf rules.
That's funny.
Fucking great.
You
And
love
then
frisbee golf though,
I
so
do, I do.
you probably know the rules.
Yeah, I haven't been in years, but I do have all the discs for it.
Of course. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, carry on. All right, and then, yeah, I mean, pretty much the grand gesture is a switcheroo of epic
Hmm.
proportions. They fucking like take her phone and go, uh she's going to visit her parents in LA,
Yeah.
and they take her real phone and give her a fake burner
Oh yeah.
that Jake can still send his weird, you know, I actually love that he texts her constantly about like what he's eating and the pelican that lands on his balcony and like all this weird stuff.
Pelican.
I found
Funny.
that very endearing.
Yeah.
But so he's still texting her, but like she's not getting any other calls or anything else. The guys have systematically come out to the press, done a week's worth of press, gotten all of their teammates to threaten the owner to leave the team if they don't fire Avery and bring her back. They've gotten all of her past patients and whatever else to write glowing recommendations to the team owner, and then they get the team owner to have a sit down with her in LA to pretty much offer her her job in her internship back to build to a
Hmm.
full-time position. And then they all fucking change their names to Price and
Hmm.
and
The grand
the
gesture.
grand gesture, and then bring her to the game where her dad plays the anthem, and and they all introduce themselves as Prices, and then
They have their jerseys with
they have
Price
their
too.
jerseys changed. They legally changed their names to Price,
Yeah.
and
I don't know if it's that fast to legally change your name, but
I want to.
Sure. In a sex book, maybe it is.
Yeah. I want to say it was something along the lines of like within a couple of weeks or something like
Yeah.
it was formalized, but they've all submitted the paperwork to like legally change their names.
I'm just, yeah.
And then
Poking holes.
Yeah, poking holes in
Poking holes.
the
Fabric
super tight plot. And then she literally just at the end goes, yeah. Mars, if you get a shutout today, I'm gonna marry you. And Caleb's like, Jake's not gonna like that, and she's like, it don't matter because you're gonna marry him, and then we're all gonna marry each other. And it was like, okay. And I don't think the wedding was actually part of this book, was it?
Yeah. There's like a whole chapter, or is that the novella? There's whole chapters of her like getting ready in her mom's closet.
That's the novella. I think that
the novella.
Yeah.
Okay, then the wedding is the novella. Yeah.
Yeah. So because they pretty much go from game day straight to the epilogue, where they Mars wins the Olympic medal.
Oh yeah, 1 year later
with a goalie goal, and then the breeding kink is in full force, and they're like, put a baby in her. She takes her IUD out. And I literally my last note is they go out with a bang.
You're so dumb. I mean, it's very accurate. But
oh man. When you hear the replay of this when we're editing it in a couple of days, you're gonna wish that you had your headphones in for my 3 great lines from earlier that I come up with because the breeding kink at the end is wow, they apply.
I mean, we've now read this book twice.
Mm-hmm.
Read it the original time, and now we've both read it again. What are your overall thoughts on it? Too long. Too long.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it was 25 hours in listening length. I mean, that did include the novella at the front end, but I mean that's a long book for any genre.
Again, it's huge.
Yeah, but for this it was it was it was long and I think
it's a Harry Potter book.
I think it jumped around. How many actual pages is it?
600. Let's see. 572 ish. 573.
Yeah. I mean that is that's massive to me for a story about some hockey players and whatever else, who have some of these issues. I mean, there's other sports books where we've read where like her problem with Dr. Avery would have been the entire plot line. Her story with one of these guys could have been an entire book, and yet there's 3 of them. I think that there was I would have potentially liked to see one of them get fleshed out a little bit more, but to your point, she did a very good job portraying this lifestyle that is not very well known to a bunch of people. I mean, in my mind, the way my mind works, would I ever be okay with something like this? Fuck no. Like I know my personality. I'm not one to to share my toys in the sandbox. But the thing is, she portrayed it in a way where I'm like, okay, if it's gonna work, then this is the way it's got to work.
Well, exactly, and I think the most important thing is just let people have what they, they know whether some of them didn't know what they wanted at the beginning, maybe, but they came around and this is what worked for them, and great. We couldn't be more supportive of that. Is it what we have or what we would pick? No, maybe not. But I think it's important to have that representation, and she did it really well. I do think that it's 3 times as long as the normal romance book because there's 3 dudes. And I actually really think that that's why it's so long, is because there's so much to cover. Is that a White Claw? Is that an LA mating call that I hear?
It's all about the claw, baby. Well, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot more stuff to cover, but I mean, these are arguably the most intricate sex scenes that I've ever read. I mean, and they go on for a long time. I mean, if you take the sex chapters out of this, you would lose half the book.
More than half. This was the first romance novel that I read where I was genuinely curious how she came up with some of this shit. Like when like the Blood Brothers semen scene of just like uh, what is she consuming like porn to figure out all this stuff? Is this really coming from her brain? I don't know. Like I just
Type that letter to the author. Let's get her on the horn.
Emily, I have a lot of questions about how she came up with some of this stuff. Some of it was just a little bit more off the wall than I was expecting. And
The sex tobogganing. Oh, you took your headphones out for that line.
well, but I remember it from the book.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it is. And her bio is lovely. She's from Florida. She wrote this, I think, during COVID as kind of a side project. But also, like, she's a kid. And I'm like, what if your kid grows up and reads this book? I mean, I get that she's like sex positive. So she must just tell her kid. But could you imagine if mom wrote
I mean,
wrote this?
she read that one strapped and saddled or whatever book with the mustache ride, Lost and Lassoed, and she was like,
She Googled it.
She googled mustache rides and was like, why didn't you tell me? Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
Our mom does write books.
Yeah, she is a published author.
She's a published author, but there are not sex toboggans in in her architectural history.
Yeah, there's no breeding kinks in her architecture books.
No. I okay. Oh my god, you can't. I never needed to see that in my life.
I told one of my bosses at work the other day. I was like, "Hey, yeah, this setup looks pretty cool. My sister and I are recording a podcast. HR is going to have a huge problem with it."
No, we can't get canceled. I don't want my life to be over.
A little light doxing never killed anyone.
Oh, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
Ooh,
So
no.
what? So I guess what it comes down to is, would you recommend this book?
Yes.
Me too. Agreed.
It's so complicated.
It's so different than the last book that we read. That
Yes.
which was like the aperitif.
Sweet closed door, lovely. It is just
One end to the other.
truly in every hole. I mean, just like I recommend this book kind of for the shock value of it, of like just holy shit, this book is nuts, and there's just not a lot else out there quite this extreme. I mean, this is like
that we've read.
that we have read. I know I had a couple friends who were like, "Oh, if you thought that was crazy, you should read this. There's like knobs on their dicks and they expand, and there's like this fantasy."
There's a half horse guy fucking a fairy. Like
Yes. Yes. So
Whew.
this was one of the most explicit. This is the most explicit, like true life book that I have read. That's not like a fantasy novel or like fairies or dragon fuckers or whatever. So I would recommend it just for that, for the value of that. And it is a series, like we said. There's 3 of them.
There's 3 main books, and
Yes.
then there's the
Novellas.
original novella and 2 novella compilations that come in between the other 2.
Yes.
So there's a 0.5, a 1.5, and a 2.5.
Yes. And so definitely I recommend it. I would say read it, even though it is long, over listening. I just was so uncomfortable with some of because they did it so well. Again,
The noises.
the like groans and grunts, and it made it a little too real. I do like a good scene where I can be like, okay, and they're boning. Let me just skip a couple pages. And I liked that. In the car, I'll like fast forward by like 15 seconds. Like, is the sex scene over yet? And it's like, nope. So I would recommend, definitely recommend it for the value of what it is, fully saying this is hockey smut to the nth degree, and read it. Don't listen. Would you say something similar?
I'd never read it. I only listened to it the both times. So yeah, I would absolutely recommend it. Not only for the shock value, I think there's phenomenal world building. I think there's a lot of good storytelling elements in there. Like I said, I think it was very episodic in the way it was told. I wish there were a little bit more through lines, kind of bringing everything together. But every scene that she wrote had great things about it.
Yeah.
I wish that some of them tied together. I wish that some of them were a little bit more delved into. Honestly, I think this could have been split into two books, and
Oh, mhm.
and some of these things could have been fleshed out to make two full kind of things. Like I would have loved to know a little bit more about the Turtle Society, which I think we do find out in one of the later
Yeah.
books.
Yes,
But
it's part of Poppy's story.
well, yeah, but by that point, it's a couple years later. Like they already, like these characters already have kids. They already have like two kids or whatever.
Oh, that's true.
But Tess, I love Tess. I would have loved to know a little
She's
bit
book
more about
two.
her. She's the main character in book two, and yeah, I mean, I think there's Emily Rath had told an a unique perspective on something that doesn't get a lot of limelight,
Hmm.
but in a very consumer friendly format with the hockey and everything else. And I mean, yes, it was hella graphic and not for the faint of heart. And
Mm-mm.
it is shocking, but is it a good representation of romance? I think, yeah.
Oh,
What do you think?
yes, because I think it has a lot of those elements of the
She's just doing
neat.
it three times over.
Yes, and how do they all join together? And so, yeah, I think because they have a low point, they have a grand gesture, they have all of those important parts of the romance novel. Um, it's not really like it's not besides, I mean, why choose? Um,
Is why choose the same thing as reverse harem?
she actually, so the
Are
author
we not
writes,
supposed to say that anymore?
I don't know, the author writes reverse harem novels.
That's
That's
what
like,
this is.
yes, but so like legitimate harem novels, like from like the past.
Oh, like Arabian Nights or something?
Yes. Um, I'd have to go and find where I read that. Um, yes, but so yeah, I think this is an extremely graphic form of romance, but I think it falls into the category.
Yeah, I mean, it has all the classic elements
Yeah.
in there somewhere.
It was
Um,
nominated for one of the best romance novels of 2023. It came in 12th place out of 20, but it was nominated.
2023. I
It
thought
might
she
have come
wrote
out
it
in
during
22.
COVID. Yeah,
Well, I mean, she wrote it. It's a 600-page book. I'm sure she started writing it in like
she needed to get all that choreography down.
she was revising it, practicing. Uh, she's, I would love to meet this author, to be honest,
Just
just
for
to
the
get a vibe,
story.
on the. I'm just so impressed at her knowledge,
Extensive knowledge.
extensive dick knowledge.
Oh man.
Okay.
All right, Helen. What do we have coming up on next week's podcast?
I'm so excited. We are reading Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is one of my favorite romance novels ever. I definitely made you read this. This was my pick. I'm not sure how I found it, but I loved it. And I think it's on Kindle Unlimited,
It
and
is.
it
Yeah.
is fantastic. So I can't wait to reread this and share it with you guys.
Agreed. It's great. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for listening. I hope you had a good time. I think I did. I don't think Helen did.
I'm glad this one is over. This book was a lot to read with your brother. Don't recommend that. Just read. I recommend the book. Don't read it with your sibling.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not happy to do a book report on this bad boy.
I absolutely was.
You did do a
I did
10-page
a
book
full-on
report.
10-page note-taking book report.
Somebody tell Carlo, Sister Vivian at Carlo Campus School that Ned nailed the book report for this book.
for the dirtiest book she's probably ever laid eyes on, because we know she's still alive at 150 years old.
Probably. Sorry,
Well,
Sister Viv.
From our family to yours. Thanks for listening.
This is Sibs Read Smut. Stay smutty.
Smut 1,000. And cut.
Smut 1,000. What?